LSU lands number 1 athlete, Lamar Brown. Of course they did. In-state prospect, right, Steve? No, this wasn't always so easy for LSU, was it?
No, I think that while we always thought that LSU would be the place that he ultimately decided for, he certainly had a keen eye at Texas A&M throughout his recruitment, gave Miami a good look, took an official visit to Texas. But LSU, proximity to home, the way that they plan to use him schematically across the defensive front, obviously NIL, very much a major part of this recruitment. The Bayou Bengals able to keep jumbo athlete, 5-star Lamar Brown home, their third 5-star this cycle, top 5 class. Tristan Keys, the number 1 ranked receiver, defensive lineman Richard Anderson. LSU hitting on another one of their top targets. Look, there was a time, Josh, obviously, when he took his official visit to Texas A&M and then canceled the LSU official visit. I think there was some jockeying behind the scenes at that point, but it was never a doubt that he would make it to LSU that following weekend, and still was never a doubt he would ultimately end up with the Tigers. He is headed to play for Brian Kelly and company.
Yeah, and, LSU normally does lock down probably 90% of the top talent in the state, but that 10%, you never know when it's going to get out of state. Lamar Brown had us thinking for a little bit that maybe it was going to be the Aggies, but he is an LSU Tiger. Any more additions for LSU today?
Well, edge rusher DeAnthony Lafayette is someone that I have a keen eye on. Our Rivals colleague John Garcia has been the lead expert on DeAnthony's recruitment, and he likes where the Tigers stand going into his announcements. So he is a prospect to keep an eye on for LSU moving forward. And then beyond him, Josh, there are several more blue chippers out there for the Tigers. 2 I want to highlight on today's episode of Whip Around: 5-star offensive lineman Darius Gray and Rivals number 3 receiver Jace Matthews. Darius Gray is one of LSU's most coveted targets regardless of position. Anytime a Brian Kelly-led staff is recruiting, offensive line is going to be a point of emphasis. There isn't a head coach in college football that really has more offensive line pedigree under his jurisdiction than Brian Kelly. When you look at the guys developed at Notre Dame and now right away at LSU, Darius Gray is someone that they would love to add to this number 5 ranked recruiting class. I expect him to drop his top final school soon. His recruitment's going to go into the fall, but I have an RPM in favor of LSU right now, and I think that they are still setting the pace with South Carolina, the biggest challenger to the Tigers. It's not done. Brad Davis and company are going to have to keep recruiting Darius Gray. He loves Coach Davis, loves the track record of development at the position under Brian Kelly. The chance that LSU can play for national championships year in and out is also something that excites him. And he is not an NIL recruit like so many of these other 5-stars. So I think it's an old school recruitment that LSU is doing very well in, but so is South Carolina. And then Jace Matthews, his process is winding down. I expect him to be off the board by the end of the month. LSU certainly in the top 3 right now with Texas A&M and Auburn. And LSU's doing a fantastic job with their history of development, the NIL discussions and visits to campus. They're right there in the middle of it for Jace Matthews with the Aggies, with the Auburn Tigers, and Ole Miss is still in play too. LSU just hired one of Ole Miss's off-field recruiting aces, Kelvin Bolden. That'll be a seamless relationship transition to LSU. But Jace Matthews and his family looking at a lot of things. No question he feels comfortable with his potential at LSU, but that is a major SEC recruiting battle right now. But if LSU can add those 2 guys, this class would be one that they would be very excited about. I think they still look to flip a quarterback in the fall. They're obviously going to go into the transfer portal for a quarterback following the season. And then tight end is a position where I could see them trying to flip someone as well, Josh.
All right. Well, yesterday on this channel, we filmed the Simmons Scoop. And Chad said something interesting to me about LSU wide receiver commitment Tristan Keys, the number 1 wide receiver in America, and I want to see if you agree. He said in the end, he would take the field over LSU when it comes to signing Tristan Keys.
Unfortunately for the LSU listeners following this segment today, I agree with Chad, and even more specifically, Tennessee and Texas A&M are the programs that I think are really moving along in this recruitment right now. That's what makes Jace Matthews such an important recruit for LSU. They already have a couple good ones committed beyond Keys, including Kenny Darby. But if they can land Jace Matthews, who's also from Mississippi, that would soften any blow of Tristan Keys defecting to another SEC rival in Tennessee or Texas A&M.